Hello, today I want to tell you about really interesting headphones. It's model Verum One by a company that is called Verum Audio. And this review will be really difficult for me because I need to give a pretty big disclaimer describing my thoughts about some aspects connected to these headphones. So this model appeared really long ago. It was 2018 or somewhere at that time, and actually they are basically one man's project. And their creator, Igor, or he's also well known under his nickname Garuspik, actually was pretty active both on local and international forums. And on local forums, he expressed some points of view that were not okay for me about the independence of Ukraine, about Russian-Ukrainian relationships, and many other things. So at that time I said that I won't review these headphones at all. A bit later in 2020, if I remember right, Igor wrote a bunch of controversial stuff on international forums. I didn't dig into that context. Probably it was something about Black Lives Matter protests at that time, and actually he faced all the full power of the cancel culture. I don't share his point of view, of course, and I don't agree with that, but actually, I understand why he thought so, because it was all the results of so-called Soviet education, partially impacted by the Russia's point of view, but I won't go deep into that thing. Actually, you can dig enough of that dirt if you'd like to. But since that, Igor changed his mind, and on his website there is a letter of apology for that. And I think everyone deserves a second chance if he changed his mind. And in general, things changed on 24th of February this year. So Ukraine became occupied by Russian troops. We have daily killings, lootings, bombardment, and so on and so forth. And actually appeared that despite of not being agree with Igor, I really support what he's doing. He's actively donating to the armed forces of Ukraine, both in terms of money and his own work. He do a lot of stuff to help Ukraine win this war. So that's why I decided to go back to these headphones and test them and tell you about them. So I won't try to judge him, because actually I won't do that. It's up to your decision. I just want to tell you about the headphones. Their price is $350. They are sold on the official site. I will add links to the description, but also please keep in mind that due to current situation, it's very hard to build headphones nowadays in Ukraine, and actually there are big delays in shipment, and you need to understand that you're taking a risk preparing this model, because during the time since prepaid and shipping the actual product, a lot of things can happen. Same applies actually to warranty conditions. Unfortunately, no one is safe in Ukraine now, so you have to keep that in mind. And with all that said, let's actually have a closer look. In terms of design, it's pretty interesting engineering product with a bunch of unusual ideas. They looks really well, probably one of the best looks in this price range, and definitely has a few unique elements. For example, you can see that headband is made of thin steel, painted in black color, and despite of being not really thick, it's definitely a reliable thing. And they have this unusual joint on the top of headband. It's here to give these cups second degree of rotation. First one is classical for the headphones, and second one is given you by this joint. So when you put them on, they just swivel a little bit to get the proper fit on your head, and this joint goes a bit back and forwards, providing this rotation. Also, there is a really wide head pad to properly distribute weight, and actually to adjust the size you need to unscrew 2 screws on the sides, and then you can see these holes. You can just move it up and down, getting necessary angle of spread. They have good clamping force, so they don't definitely not push too hard, but stays reliably on your head. Interesting grill. I'd like it probably to be black in terms of color, but a lot of people like the combination of black headband and silver grill. Some mesh on the inner side, and cups have 3 different options in terms of texture. You can get 2 wood-like textures and 1 version of carbon, so you can find whatever will suit most for you. Really wide and big, comfortable, soft earpods, providing good circumaural experience. They are pretty deep, so there won't be some issues when your ears touch something inside. And in terms of sound isolation, of course, model is almost open, so it created for listening in the quiet room or in some quiet environment. It's definitely not an option for the street wearing or for some kind of office where your neighbors won't be happy with it. Cables are made replaceable. Here used regular 3.5mm connectors, but actually stock cable has a fun, unusual, interesting twist. To connect it to cups, used angled connectors that provides better experience. So fun and pretty straightforward way of improving wearing comfort. So you can just click them in place, and here it is. Stock cable is pretty basic in nylon-like isolation with pretty big splitter, but actually doing its job pretty well. It has low microphonics, so in this aspect it's pretty reliable. So to summarize this part, headphones looks pretty unique, but in my opinion design is really interesting, both in terms of exterior and in terms of engineering ideas put in this model. And of course about the sound. There are tons of reviews of Verum One all over the internet, so just search YouTube and you'll get much more professional reviews compared to mine, but still it's my hobby to share my experience with you. And in terms of experience and sound, you getting what you can expect for the big planar magnetic drivers inside of spacious open back cups. You'll get pretty big sound, natural, without any noticeable coloration, with slight focus on the micro contrast and really well defined stage. Many people refer that as speakers-like sound. I can't confirm that because my experience with speakers are really limited to one model in general, and Shanling's speakers that I used. Anyway, let's go back to this model and describe step by step. So, bass is deep, of course, it's well controlled, it's slightly focused on the small nuances and details. In general, I'd say that this model suits better genres that are well recorded, really well recorded, because they require proper material. And for genres that uses real instruments, I mean not synthesized low frequencies. Deep bass is present, but it's not accented, so don't expect like super punchy bass, but at the same time with proper amplification, of course, punch will be present in necessary amount. And of course it's also not a model for those who need accented weight, so probably it's not the perfect fit for the pop music, electronic music and stuff like that, but if you have just part of your media library of that genres, it will be anyway pretty pleasant experience. Of course, more they suit some well-recorded jazz, I don't know, instrumental music and so on. It's the genres where it shine. But still, there are a lot of other good examples where it could be great. So first one is Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water, and that bass line that appears when this track develops sounds really lifelike and realistic. And on top of that, of course, you'll get really well rendered guitars, vocal, and all that other stuff. But of course, this track here is mainly because of low frequencies. And another example, it's Louis Armstrong, Rock My Soul. Bass here is nice and well defined, but of course it's not omnipresent like it's done on modern tracks. Here bass appears and disappears pretty sporadically, and these headphones capture it and renders really well. Of course, I could use here something with double bass that I often use, like Musica Nuda, Casey Abrams or something like that, but it would be too trivial for these headphones. It's absolutely not a problem. And mid frequencies also uncolored, detailed, natural, and really dependent on the quality of records and quality of the source, because they won't try to hide any issues. They won't highlight it too, but won't try to hide. They won't boost dynamics, weight, or something like that. So basically, if something is recorded poorly, it will sound not perfectly. But some good records will give you all you can expect. Nice amount of details, overtones, realism, and so on. Stage is spacious. It's not artificially boosted, but nicely presented, both in width and in depth, with good separation and with great positioning. And first example, it's Miles Davis, 1 and 1. Really great track with a lot of everything going on and requiring nice technical performance for the headphones, and Verum One definitely delivers it really well. And second track is all about the vocal mainly. Of course, melody here is also really charming and great, but Mercury's vocal on the Teo Torriatte, I suppose I pronounced it at least 60% correctly. It's the main thing, absolutely emotional, really giving you goosebumps, and these headphones definitely managed to get it done properly, especially taking into account spacious stage that this track is really complements. And the treble also offers good extension, not the maximum one, but close to that limits, and without excessive accent. Of course, treble is pretty energetic here. I can't call it like bright or hot, but of course when some sibilance is present in the track, these headphones will deliver it to you in full glory, let's name it this way. So it's not the model for those who need soften or recessed treble. Of course, layering here is pretty basic, but for this price tier it's impressive. Overtone saturation is really great, and the attacks and decays have proper lengths, and that means really good sense of realism. So both instruments with a lot of overtones and nuances of room where everything was recorded will be present to you in a really good manner. And first example, it's Spooky from the compilation that is already called World's Greatest Audiophile Vocal Recordings by Christy Baron. Well, maybe name of this compilation is a bit too much, but record of course is really great, both in terms of performance and in terms of quality. And of course there are a lot of overtones, both from vocal and instruments, that goes to the treble area, and they recorded really well, so these headphones definitely suiting well for such tracks. And second is one of my most favorite albums ever recorded. It's Camel, Snow Goose, perfect instrumental masterpiece. And it starts with great wind instruments part and develops really nicely, and this track suits these headphones really well, giving you all that nuances, overtones, and stuff like that. As a short intermission, let me show you the newest creation of Verum Audio that they're going to make available for the market, and it's a cartoon version of bloody dictator Putin that actually they offers to use it as a headphone stand. I'm not sure about my opinion about that, but they said that it's express their thoughts about this character, and they will donate all profits from selling this headphone stand in order to speed up delivering of this guy to place where he belongs. And let's go back to the headphones themselves. Actually, they require a really good amplification. It's probably the hardest combination. They have low impedance and at the same time pretty low sensitivity. If I remember right, it's 8 ohms of impedance and 96 decibels of sensitivity, meaning that amplifier should control such low impedance loads pretty well. And that means that you'll need a good player, first of all in terms of amplification and in terms of resolution and stuff, because to show the full potential of these headphones you'll need something really detailed and technical. And at the same time they have a really good amount of scale limits with some good desktop digital to analog converters, amplifiers and so on. So they can be good with medium and higher segment players, but some good desktop digital to analog converter will be even better. And about the conversions, honestly, I won't do it this time because they sound like no other in this price range, and definitely it's not it won't make much sense comparing them with some dynamic driver headphones or even some planars in this price range. Like I could of course recall like Hi-Fi and Sandara, but Sandara sounds more dry and less with smaller stage for me and with slightly less sense of realism comparing to this model. So despite of controversy around the creator, headphones are really good, and I hope that everyone will have an opportunity to try them and to enjoy the experience they deliver. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.